Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regularly scheduled April 7, 2014 Planning Commission meeting. First, I'd like to start with a roll call.
Chair Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Cooper.
Here.
Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner Niblin. Commissioner Vatalos.
Here.
Commissioner Evans.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Campbell, would you lead us in a salute to the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to go through administrative business. First is the approval of the order of the agenda. Commissioner Vatalos.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do I have a vote? The order of agenda is approved, 4-0. Next is the approval of the minutes dated March 17th, 2014. Again, Commissioner Vatalos.
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Great, let's have a vote. Thank you. Next, designation of liaison to the City Council meeting on next Monday, April 14th, 2014.
There's one item of interest. This is not something that the Planning Commission acted on, but we did hold a study session on the Palmetto design guidelines, if you recall, a few months ago. It's finally made its way to the council for action. So if there was a commissioner who was interested in attending on behalf of the Planning Commission, that might be helpful.
And I think that is you.
I'll attend.
Fantastic, thank you. As there are no consent items, we'll move on to the public hearing. Specific plan SP-148-13, filed by the applicant, Javier Chavarria, on behalf of the owner, Julie Shu, to construct a 3-story single-family dwelling of 2,400 square feet with a detached accessory building on a vacant lot at 323 Farallon Avenue, APN 009-085-280. Recommended CEQA status exempt. Proposed action approve as conditioned. Would the applicant like to present? Excuse me, staff report. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Chair Brown and Commissioners. Before you tonight is a project consisting of one single-family dwelling on an infill vacant lot in the Fairmont neighborhood. Proposed dwelling will be 3 stories and approximately 35 feet in height. The proposed living area for the dwelling is 2,400 square feet, and an attached 2-car garage of 900 square feet is also proposed. A large Canary Island date palm exists on the neighbor's property next to the subject site. Since this tree is considered a heritage tree, an arborist report has been provided, and the mitigation measures are required as stated in condition of approval number 2. Subject site is located on Farallon Avenue, so additional design guidelines apply. Applicant's written response regarding how this project has satisfied those guidelines, plus the guidelines themselves, are attached as attachment D. Conditions of approval include street paving across the frontage of the lot, a new parking bay in the public right-of-way, and a sidewalk to connect to the sidewalk on the east side of the property. Staff recommends approval of the project because the project is in scale and compatible with the neighborhood. Staff's opinion, the design of the project is appropriate for the Fairmont neighborhood. In addition, the project does satisfy all the development standards required and Farallon Avenue design guidelines recommended for a single-family dwelling on the subject site. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? And I can't tell if I cleared these buttons or not.
Not me.
Cooper.
Commissioner Cooper.
I have a couple questions for you. The lot coverage and the setbacks for this solarium building, it looks to be on a foundation. What are the setbacks for an outbuilding in this location?
The setbacks to the side and rear property line, minimum required is actually 18 inches because it's not a house, it's not living area, so they can, in the rear setback, they can do as little as 18-inch
18 inches
setback
back.
side and rear. So in this case, the fact that they're 5 feet is much more than what we allow.
And the solarium doesn't count as far as the coverage area is concerned?
It counts as part of lot coverage. Yes, as part of the 40% lot coverage.
Okay.
Yes,
And was that taken into account here?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then what is the width of the sidewalk for the setbacks here? I noticed that where he has that parking bay, there's a very narrow sidewalk. I was curious of what the width should be.
I think there's probably a required minimum amount, and that
Okay.
will be handled by engineering. You're right, I agree, it does look pretty narrow. I don't know, I'm guessing it's probably in the 3-foot, 4-foot range, but whatever is approved, it will be to the requirements as engineering. That area is definitely in the public right-of-way, so it's engineering's
Right.
jurisdiction.
And then last question I had was for the, a lot of these projects that we've seen before us have a water containment area associated with them. So rather than putting the rainwater into the storm drain, they go into a system and they percolate down. I didn't see that in here. Is that a requirement or is that just a?
It's not a requirement that I'm aware of. That is something I believe the applicant was prepared to respond to. I did talk to him about it earlier today.
Okay.
Oh, here he is. So he
I'll wait for
can
him.
respond. Thank goodness he showed up. And also, if there's any questions about the aquaponics beyond what I've mentioned, Javier is prepared to discuss that as well.
Thank you. That's all the questions I had.
Thank you. I have one question. Is condition 3, is that a new condition, or is it just one I've read a lot of times and not caught? That's a forfeitable cash deposit of $5,000 shall be submitted prior to the issuance of a building permit?
Actually, that wasn't supposed to be in there. I apologize.
Oh,
It was something
okay.
we had talked about years ago for some other projects, and I had talked to George about it, and I apologize. Let me amend that to say that that should be eliminated. It was something we used to do a number of years ago when there were issues with a lot of construction happening, and it is something that's allowed per the design guidelines.
Right.
But in this particular case, we didn't think it was something necessary. There's not a lot of development going on in that
Right.
area, so we didn't think it was necessary, and I meant to remove it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for catching that, actually.
Okay, since there's no more questions for staff, would the applicant like to present? And I believe you have 10 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Javier Chavarria with JC Engineering, and I have a few visual aids that are going to help us share with you the concept of our design. And to your question, Mr. Cooper, yes, indeed, we do have a rainwater harvesting system that is incorporated on the plans, and I'll be happy to show them for you. So if I may take a couple of seconds to get the system going.
Great, thank you.
It's coming.
I apologize, I'm pulling the mic in here so that I can drive the computer a little better. I'm going to start by showing you where the drainage system is, so that way, if there is any questions or concerns, we can clarify it right now. On this portion of the driveway here, if you see, there is a system of 24-inch diameter anchor pipes. Those pipes are going to provide a 500-gallon capacity storage. All the storm drain is going to be connected to that system, and that water can be available for local irrigation, but if no irrigation is needed during winter time, that acts as a detention system, holding enough capacity in such a way that the water that is going to the main storm drain system is exactly the same water that would be going had the development not take place. So the guidelines of the the Cal Green Code requires that water outflowing from a site should be the same after development as pre-development. So that's what we have taken into consideration. And putting a storage system under the driveway is out of sight, is easy to install, easy to maintain, and very accessible. I apologize, it's mic in here is not the easiest thing, but let me try to make it work correctly. I'm not exactly sure what happened in here, and the video is coming kind of in a strange angle. The intent of this video was to give us a visual of what Farallon Avenue looks right now. If anything, what we have is a very diverse architectural setting. We have homes with different type of styles, varying from traditional to modern to some California flavors. I would say it's a very eclectic neighborhood by all means. And before I get you dizzy with that, let me take out of the way and go back to standard steels. This is a picture of the site as currently exists. It's of a steep slope. It starts at about 20 to 25 degrees from the street, and then it steepens up to the rear section. When we started thinking about what we could do with the design to mitigate those conditions, the first thing that we took into consideration was what Farallon Avenue looks like, in the sense of a narrow street and how the guidelines for designing the buildings are given by the city. So the first element that we had, it was a 20-foot setback. Never had so much problems with the presentation, I'm so sorry. The initial design that we had considered, it had a 20-foot setback so that the home would have been set away from the street to provide for some additional parking. Unfortunately, when we did the initial calculations for the volumes of dirt to be excavated, we turned out over 1,400 cubic yards. We had retaining walls that were on the 18 to 19 foot. So therefore, we decided to abandon that idea, and instead we moved the house forward towards towards the front property line as it is allowed by the regulations. And then by doing such, we were able to this was the new setback. We diminished the excavation from 1,400 cubic yards to about 650 yards. We diminished the height of the retaining walls from 18 feet that we had before to about 10 feet, and then we step the walls back. We feel that with this type of design, we not only reducing the impact on the neighborhood by diminishing the excavation, but we achieve a much functional and much better design. The front of the building, we incorporated some architectural elements so that the setbacks that are required from every store, so we have the garage here, and we have the 8-foot setback, and then the 8-foot setback coming to the front of the building. So the building does follow the guidelines for Farallon that each level needs to be pushed back, and that if needed, any cantilevering needs to be done towards the rear, which is what we did in this section, cantilevering just enough to achieve the floor area that we needed without eliminating the light and ventilation that is needed for this ground area. Thereafter, we started thinking about what the building should look like, and what are the better conditions for our site. And let me bring you the site plan. I'm so sorry. This is not. There we go. Oops. There we go. Okay, so on the site plan, we try to follow the shape of the property, trying to preserve as much as possible the open space where it was important to have it. We have a triangular corner up there where it's difficult to access, but it's an area that is very visible and where landscaping can be incorporated and use and make the site a lot more an improvement for the neighborhood. We are using a flat roof. We're going to use a cool roof for energy efficiency. We are having a very well landscape section in the front here, and then we have the aquaponics in here. And basically the aquaponics is a combination of using growing plants by taking advantage of the organic matter disposed by fish. So we have a closed system where there is no discharge of any of the ammonia contaminated water, because that is the feeding elements for the growing of the plants. Later on, if you're interested, I have more information regarding the aquaponics elements. So with that in mind, we said, okay, well, what are we going to do with the building? So our initial conceptual for the building came something like that. So we were, thinking of different shapes, different forms, trying to preserve the articulation of the building, and something that will fit in the neighborhood. We have such a diverse architectural style that we felt that a modern building will be probably the most appropriate element for the site. Trying to get the little arrows for changing here. Give me 1 second, and again, my apologies on this. Okay, I think this is going to go faster now. That is a little render view of the building, how the materials are going to work together. Our intent is to have a main portal for the garage with a deck on front of the garage. We have the deck that provides some privacy for the use of the ground floor, and then there is a windshield protection in here that makes the space actually very useful. There's another view that indicates a combination of materials. So we have a stucco with different finishes on this section, and we have wood on the next level in there. This view here indicates this sloped section of the glass, which is going to be basically like a wind deflector. Just different views of the building on how we're incorporating different wood elements. We have the main facade element in here that grows up to this section, and then we bring the same material around the sides of the building so that it brings articulation in maintaining the architectural appearance that we're trying to achieve. This is view as we're walking towards the entry of the building. These stairs were on grade, and that's where the point where the retaining walls start being a little taller and visible to get to the rear section. This is the access to the building, and this is the elevator tower. That's a direct view as you're coming up from the street, accessing the main entrance to the building. And then as we're walking towards the rear, that's exactly the right elevation of the building. And then we're walking towards the section where the aquaponics is going to be installed. So basically, this solarium is going to provide area for the growing of the vegetables and all the plants, as well as the fish tanks that are going to provide the water and the nutrients for the plants that are going to be placed in there. So the height of the aquaponics is only 12 feet max. We're using glass throughout so that it will be as least intrusive to the neighborhood. Whatever is built is cultivated inside will actually be looking like landscaping. This is as we're walking from the back of the house towards the front. This is the level from the aquaponics reaching the third level of the building. And then we're basically just walking towards the left side elevation of the building, where some of the same architectural details are implemented for consistency. This section here shows a better view of how the windshields are used in here to make the deck more useful and enjoy that gorgeous view that we have here. So basically, that's what the house looks on our view. And I'm going to show you here the context of our design with the neighboring houses. Basically, we have two different architectural styles, and then yet we're incorporating another one, but I think that brings flavor to the neighborhood. We have this palm tree, which we went to great lengths to preserve it and follow the directions of the arborist report to maintain that as part of the landscaping. We're going to have a parking bay on this section here. Indeed, engineering department require the sidewalk to be bent around the parking bays as it is done in the other homes, and maybe the rendition here doesn't quite clearly show how that is, but on the drawings and on the site plans and grading plans is clearly depicted. So we have the driveway, a landscape section here, and we feel that we have achieved a home that is going to be bringing value to the area. It's going to be very green. It certainly will conform with all the requirements of the 2013 California Green Code. And the owner is completely committed to make these. One of the reasons of the aquaponics is because of how green that is, in the sense that you're cultivating your own green, clean, good food, conserving water, and using that portion for landscaping. So if you do have any questions, if you have any information that I can pass on, I will be more than happy to answer those. But as I said, I believe that we have a project that is architecturally pleasant, but it also meets all the green requirements. It diminishes the excavation, and it will be a good enhancement for the area. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I see we have a question from Commissioner Cooper.
Can you turn off your projector real quick?
Of course.
While you're doing that, can I ask, are those real neighbors or are those stock photos?
Those stalkers. You can just turn it a little bit, that's fine with me. Just as this is blinding me in the front. Just turn your projector, turn the stand a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, aim it at George.
No, you're aiming it over there.
Okay. I just have a couple questions for you. One of my questions obviously was the height of the solarium. It looks like it's right near the roof line, and it seems like you kept that pretty low, which is nice. By the way, it was a very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
The driveway, is that a pervious driveway, or are you using just plain pavement in that area? It seems like you'd want to recapture more of the water.
It's going to be a mix. In the areas where the collection system is, we're going to have some type of a solid paving in there because of the requirements of the manufacturer. However, the surrounding areas is going to be permeable paving, so it's going to be a combination.
Combination of two, okay. One thing I did notice from your presentation was your heightened light poles along the side of the house. That might be very distracting for the neighbors, so you might want to take a look at that as well. I noticed that you had some light standards sticking up all the way along the side of the house. So that was a comment of mine. It might be a little distracting for everybody else having that light really up high as you go along. The other thing that we had talked about, and a bunch of people have presented to us, was having a front door facing the roadway. And I noticed that on your plans, and there are some other homes in the area that do have that, but you have your garage door, then you have that side door that right faces the driveway area. It'd be neat if you could like incorporate that maybe into a side, so you don't see it visually from the street. It makes it look kind of, and we're just trying to get away from, I guess, the door sides being right on the street. It kind of looks a little interesting. The other thing that I had was, oh, you were answered already. That was the rainwater harvesting. That's all I had, Chair.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak regarding this project? If so, please submit a speaker's card.
In the back, you can do it afterwards.
And you have 3 minutes to address this.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Ellen Langell. This is my husband, Walter Langell. We live on Beachview Avenue, directly above the proposed development. We're very happy to welcome new neighbors, and I've enjoyed the presentation. I thought it was very informative. I do have a question. I apologize, we were a few minutes late to the meeting, and I missed the beginning of Ms. Farston, her presentation. I am ignorant of what agroponics is, and that little aquarium thing is going to be closest to our house. I appreciated that it was kept low to the roof line, as was previously commented, but I don't know what it is, I don't know what it does, I don't know what happens when it falls apart, other than the fish go sliding down the hillside. So that's our question. What on earth is it? What's it for? What's the purpose of it? Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant please address that question?
Yeah, certainly. The purpose of the aquaponics is, as I mentioned before, you can cultivate your own vegetables, your own fish, your own food. Nowadays, it's so hard to, you go to some places and the salmon has this, and the tuna has mercury, and the vegetables are irrigated with incorrectly water. This is a system that provides kind of a safety net for your all well-being. These systems are becoming more and more popular because they're easy to maintain. They produce high-quality nutrients and food with vegetables and fish, and also they have kind of a failback system. If the pumps are not working, there are drainage systems that are correctly installed, diverted onto the sewer system. So the aquaponics are getting to a level where it's not just 3-4 fish tanks incorrectly put. It's a fairly well thought process and well designed. I think it provides not only the benefit of growing your own food in place in there, but also opening up a whole section of landscaping because of the appearance that it has seen through the glass. I'm not sure if that quite answers your question there. Thank you.
Is aquaponics a brand name?
No, it's not. It's a system, and there are actually many manufacturers and different systems that work that way. There's a lot of online information, and as I said, I have some additional information if you're interested in here that I can show you some images for it.
So is this a prefabricated building that comes out, or is this something you're developing from scratch?
The solarium itself is one unit that is pre-manufactured. The actual aquaponic itself is the tanks, the pumps, the material, the system to do that.
Sorry about that, Chair. I kind of spoke out there.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Commissioner Campbell.
Is there a motor running? I'm just curious about the sound.
There are pumps that are circulating the water, but they're very, very quiet pumps. They're submergible pumps, so you don't have any. Everything is driven with a small electric motors, and the pumps are submergible. There's really no noise generated.
And is there is there a ventilation system or anything like that? Nothing like that?
No.
Just the pumps?
Just the pumps. Yeah, that's the circulation of the water creates all the ventilation that is needed for that water there.
So
and then of course, there is a controlled temperature that is maintained inside for the proper growth of the plants.
Okay. So it's kind of like a greenhouse.
It is,
Yeah.
certainly, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Vaterlos.
Just a comment, I appreciate that you took into consideration the excavation, and the plans seem to fit in so much better with the lowered retaining walls than the original first plan, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'll bring this back to the commission. Are there any other questions or comments that you would like to pose to staff or the applicant at this moment? Seeing none, are we ready for a motion? Commissioner Cooper.
I'd like to make a motion to find the project exempt from CEQA, approve specific plan SP 148-13 by adopting the attached resolution for the proposed single-family dwelling at 323 Farallon Avenue, including conditions of approval in Exhibit A, striking out condition number 3, and incorporate all maps and testimonies into the record by reference.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And let's have a vote. That motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Other agenda items? Oh, excuse me. Anyone aggrieved by the action of the Planning Commission has 10 calendar days to appeal the decision in writing to the City Council. If any of the above actions are challenged in court, issues may be raised, are limited to those raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to the public hearing. Judicial review of any city administrative decision may only be had if a petition is filed with the court not later than the 90th day following the date upon which the decision becomes final. Judicial review of the environmental determinations may be subject to a shorter time period for litigation, in certain cases 30 days following the date of the final decision. Thank you. On other agenda items, I see none, and now we move on to communications. Are there any commission communications? Yes.
I sort of think this is Planning Commission related, but I did go out on the opening of the Devil's Slide Trail, the opening day, and if anybody has the opportunity to go out there, it was absolutely beautiful. So everybody should take the opportunity to go out there. Thanks.
How long is that hike, by the way?
We didn't go the whole way.
Okay.
We only went to the top.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Campbell.
I would like to say congratulations and welcome to our new chair.
Oh, thank you very much. Any staff communications?
Nothing additional at this time?
Now is the time for oral communications. This portion of the agenda is available to the public to address the Planning Commission on any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission that is not on the agenda. The time allowed for any speaker will be 3 minutes. And seeing none, I'd like to ask if there's a move to adjourn. Commissioner Vadelas.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Let's have a vote. And that passes 4-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Vader loss or
Voter loss.
Vader loss?
Just a,
Oh,
like,
it's so easy.
together.